is rolling. What's up, YouTube? So yeah, so there's a couple things that go into making today a very risky day to trade. So the first thing is news, right? So go on forexfactory.com and you will see that we did have news today. Right, so we had non-farm employment change, and then we had the unemployment rate. So that's very high impact news. As you can see, this is an extreme movement. So that's the first thing that makes it risky today is news, right? So the first reason it's risky is news. And there's actually a second reason that it's risky, which some people have identified, but some people may not realize. We are at an all-time high, so price has never been this high. So this is why it makes it even more risky because this was the previous all-time high, and now this is the all-time high, but the all-time high came off of a liquidity grab from news. So this is just extremely, extremely risky. And any shorts that people got into right here is mainly luck. Although I will say that could be a nice place to take a short. Could have been a nice place to take a short, but probably not the best idea if you're on a funded account or if you have a smaller account because there's a lot of risk you're exposed to right here when you're shorting during these news periods just because of how big this range is. So all this movement to the downside that happened could have also happened to the upside, so you would have been exposed to all of that risk. So very risky, also very high reward, but know that risk and reward are often twin sisters. So when you have a lot of risk, you often have a lot of reward. And if you have a lot of risk but zero reward, you should never even be looking at something. So if you have a lot of risk but very minimal reward, you should not even be looking at it, right? So you should only be looking at things that have ideally a minimal amount of risk and a high amount of reward. Because when you have minimal amount of risk, high amount of reward, it just makes more sense, right? Because you're purely looking at opportunities where your potential loss is this and your potential win is this. And that's the kind of opportunities you want to be taking. Because even if you only win a few of those opportunities, over time, you will make money if you target those opportunities and if you do have your reward get hit a good amount of the time. What's the plan? I'm assuming that was after or before I just said what's going on right now. But yeah, like here's the thing: like when you have an all-time high and you have news, what price data are you going to go off of? Right? Very little. You have nothing right here. There's literally never price has never been right here before ever. All right, so look, like price has literally never been here. So you have zero data. There's nothing you can look at and be like, oh, this is what happened when price was at this level. This is this high. This is this open. No, like the price has never been there. So that's why it makes it very difficult to trade today. Not impossible, but it makes it very difficult because you have no data that you're basing your trades off of, which is quite risky. It's quite risky. So the only thing you can do today is just attempt to identify the trend. So attempt to say right now to yourself, okay, are we in a downtrend? If we are in a downtrend, what will that entail? That means we're going to be looking for shorts off these kind of little bounces right here. So bounce and then short back down to here. But that's only if and only once we identify that we're in a downtrend. So just be focused on identifying trends today. Definitely play light. I'm not going to be risking my normal amount. I'm going to be risking a lot less just because today's a risky day. And just pay attention to the market. Just watch the market. Do not rush into anything. Because so often I see this problem with so many people, and I mainly in myself, but you just should not be trading sometimes. Like it's just very hard to get it across to people because some people they just want to be trading every single day, making money every single day. That's just not how it works at all. Right? Like if I have 3 or 4 great trades a month, sometimes maybe 4 to 8 great trades a month, I'm happy. That's really all I need. And then it's just these consistent base hits because people have this illusion that every single day you're going to have some huge winner. Trading looks like this. Like this is what a profitable trader's weekly P&L looks like. So say on Monday I make $4,000. On Tuesday I lose $100. On Wednesday I don't trade. On Thursday I make $500. On Friday I make $800. Right? So it's very consistent. There's not these like giant swings. You either make money or you lost a little bit of money, and you're making a lot more money because your risk to reward on the setups that you're playing is high. So that's the secret. Is you target high probability setups, so you don't even have to win that much. What does have to happen though is you just have to follow and execute those setups. But this dip is purely because of news. This dip is because of news, and there's zero technicals that contributed to this dip besides the fact that we weren't able to break above this high right here. So, but the news was the main reason because you can see that's right at that 830 level. So right there. Bam. Right, so you could be looking for something like this right now, although it is risky. As I said, you're trading news, just a downtrend to continue targeting that. That's what I'm looking at. Like I said, I'm going light, so do not come in here and risk large amounts of your account. But yeah, I mean, back to like the why most people are not profitable thing is people are just trading when they should not be trading. There's so many times when you should just not be trading. So many times. You should just look at the market and say, okay, I'm not going to trade. How do you identify these times? One, when there's erratic price movement. So like stuff like this is just like, you know what I mean? There's no real technicals that are into play right here that are coming into play. So you're not really bouncing off this. You're kind of rejecting this, but there's not, you can't look at this chart and say, okay, this is what's happening on a technical level. So that should be your first sign. It's like, okay, maybe I'm going to trade light today, or maybe I'm not even going to trade today. Your second sign should be, have you seen any A plus setups in the last hour, right? Or in the last 2 hours? So for me, no, I have not. This is like you could have got the setup and got lucky and made a ton of money, yes, but is this an A plus setup where your conditions are met perfectly and your stops are tight and everything looks the way you want it to look? Absolutely not. So that this would be like a D setup, right? Like a D plus maybe. Probably more like a D setup. Because this is just does not make any sense in terms of why you would be entering. So you could say, what if it breaks above all-time high? I'm gonna enter shorts, but like when are you gonna get out of shorts? And you probably would have got stopped out unless you had a big stop. So you are exposed to a lot of risk there. So that's you could have played that by having a really large stop and just betting that we're gonna reject this level. But besides that, there's not much confirmation for that trade at all. It's really not that much confirmation. So right here, there's confirmation because right here you say, okay, we've rejected off of this high in the past, so I'm expecting price to reject again. I'm going to have a tight stop of 3 points, and then I'm going to target 10 points. Bam, you hit that. Right, and even here, you could have done the same thing. You just wouldn't have got filled, but that's still a nice setup. It just didn't play out. I don't understand the news. So here's the thing with the news, and this takes a decent amount of time to understand. But the news doesn't matter if it's good news or bad news. That has no effect on if price will go up or not. It really doesn't. Like some people will disagree with me, but it does not matter. What matters for price to go up or down is volatility. So as long as there's news, that means price will go up or down. If the news is bad, sometimes price will go up. If the news is good, sometimes price will go down. So that doesn't really have a link because if it did have a link, then people would just be able to make money easily by looking at the news and by saying, okay, we had good numbers, I'm going to get in right now. But the market price is all this in. So you're not really like even if you know the news before it happens, you're not really at an advantage because the reaction that price will have to good news is not always an upward reaction. The reaction is just purely based upon the orders, right? So are people buying, are people selling? The reaction is actually not based on if the news is good or bad, which is weird, but it's kind of interesting. Thank you. Somebody tag me. Yeah, my mod's supposed to be on that, but I'm just deleting. Whenever somebody sends a link in the Discord chat, guys, especially in the normal chat, if they're in premium chat, you can trust them, but if they're in the normal chat, just don't open it. That's one of the cons of having a free Discord is that people will just come in and send random stuff, but I just deleted it, so we're all good. All right, so do watch this. See if we are not able to come above this high or this low. I'm sorry, if we're not able to come above this low, I'm still looking bearish. I'm saying, okay, price might reject and come down here. For anybody asking me about the situation with the Discord, so nothing at all is changing for current premium members. Like for you guys, literally nothing is different. Nothing is different. Everything's going to continue functioning. The only thing that is changing is if somebody is not already a premium member before we go private, they won't be able to join premium. So how long are we going to go private for? Maybe a few weeks, maybe a few months, maybe forever, maybe a shorter amount of time, right? But what will be happening is we're going to go private for a little bit, and if somebody is not a premium member before we go private, they will not be able to join premium. But premium, all good, right? Just like you know how sometimes if you're a part of a club, if you're a part of a membership, for example, there's a golf club, there's like this big golf beach club thing near my neighborhood or near my where I live, where I stay by, and it's private, right? So you have to apply and then you have to get accepted. But initially it was public, but they got it to a certain amount of members, so they closed it, made it private, more intimate, just kind of a more family-like setting when you do have that privacy. So that's what we're doing, and we took inspiration from an actual club, very important club. Woke up to an executed trade after an order was filled, going back to sleep. Have a great Friday. That's beautiful, my man. Let's look at that. $1,900 in profit. That's how easy it can be, y'all. People make it too complicated. That is beautiful. Shout out, my man. Beautiful short too. That's what I was talking about. That's the exact play I was just talking about. Remember, guys, I was saying that if we do come over here, I said you could have gotten to a setup, which is it's hard to find. But your thesis would be if we break over this high, we're going to reject down, and that's exactly what he did. So he had that order. He had a limit order right here with a nice loose stop, and he got filled and came down and made money. So exactly what I just talked about. He took the play, beautiful, and he made $2,000 or $1,940. Do y'all like that these are recorded? How many of y'all go on and watch the recordings after on YouTube? YouTube is rp.profits1, by the way. You like that it's recorded? Good, good. Love it, need it. Cool, cool. I'll continue doing it. Awesome. Perfect. Yeah, I'll keep doing it. And do let me know if you would like me to make some more vlog lifestyle stuff. I've had some people asking because I actually really do want to do that. I want to just show some more vlog stuff, like not only trading, just some more general kind of vlog mindset, day in the life, motivation, just me out there having fun kind of thing, you know. Because trading is great, and I love making trading videos, but I think people need to understand that like there's trading. If somebody's a trader, they trade and that's how they make money, but they also have another life where it's how they network, how they travel, you know, how that all looks. So trading is just part of the equation. Day in the life. Oh yeah, cool. I'll continue doing that. How do I feel about CVS? So I do not have any feelings about CVS right now at all because, to be quite honest, I have not been paying much attention to CVS because, like, here's the thing for me is I focus purely on futures. So sometimes I'll go in and look at the options alerts just to monitor and just be like, oh, I wonder how that's doing. I wonder how that's doing. And sometimes I will take them. I will take them sometimes, but I have not been looking at CVS this week. I was looking at it last week, so I've not been looking at CVS right now. I can check that out in a moment, though. I just want to see what's going on with this candle closure. Then I'll check out CVS. Do you trade on a laptop, desktop, phone? So a little bit of everything actually. So I used to not trade on a phone, but now I have total confidence trading on a phone. What I will say though is don't chart on a phone if you can avoid it. If you can't avoid it, that's totally fine. But I like to chart on my either laptop or my monitor, and then I like to execute on either my laptop or my monitor. Sometimes my phone. I don't really have an issue executing on my phone because it's just like an execution platform. So I'll have my chart up and I'll have my phone to execute, which actually has been working pretty well. Trade app is what I use to execute on the phone. I'm bearish for the day. I mean, we could flip, move up, but at this current moment in time, I am bearish. And unless we get a 1 hour candle closure above this, I'm bearish. If we get a 1 hour candle closure, so this candle ends above here, I think we can move up more, right? So like watch that happen right now after I say it. But if this candle closes above here, I'm bearish. If this candle stays below here, so if this candle right here, this 1 hour candle does not move above here, then I'm still bearish, right? So that's how you have to think. You have to think in if-thens. You don't link TradeAway to TradingView? Yeah, I don't, and that's just preference. Some people do. I just don't like it right now. I've just been doing it that way for so long, and it's just kind of like a habit. Trading directly on TradingView. I don't think there's really an issue with it. I have done it before. I don't think there's an issue. For me, it's just preference. And I just, for some reason, I like the way I can look at the order flow on Tradeovate and I can look at all that stuff. And then I can come back over to TradingView and just the kind of interface of Tradeovate versus TradingView just really helps me. I like it. But maybe I'll start trading on TradingView one day with Tradeovate. So there's nothing really bad about that at all for me. It's just a personal preference. You have a look at ZAO USD. So can I have a look at gold? Yes, I will actually. Just give me one moment. I will come back and check this in a second, but let's look at gold. So when we're looking at gold, you also need to look at this. Look at DXY. And you'll see why we're looking at DXY in 1 second here. So YouTube, this is tons of free game for anybody that's watching this. So pay attention. So gold does the inverse of the dollar because gold is a safe haven asset. So when people buy gold, they are saying, I would rather have my money in gold, a secure asset, than the US dollar. Am I saying the US dollar is not a secure asset? Kinda, right? So don't get all worried, but I'm saying that people have more trust in gold and other assets than the US dollar. So what does that mean? That means that when people buy gold, they're exchanging their dollars, right? So if you have gold, right, and I come to you and I say, I'm going to give you dollars, I'm going to give you $1,000 in cash, and you're going to give me $1,000 worth of gold, right? So that's now $1,000 that I've sold off or that is now in gold, right? But think about that on like a mass scale with people buying tens of millions. So when gold goes down, the dollar goes up. When there's less gold, there's more dollars, right? When there's less dollars, there's more gold. So know that and use that, right? This is a very, very important thing. This is so important. So anybody that's watching this right now, and you are a gold trader, study this. And yes, it's relevant on all time frames. So if you look right here, we're gonna have a big move up on gold. Yep. If you look right here, we're gonna have a move down on gold. Or I'm sorry, move down on the dollar. And if you look right here, we're gonna have a move up on the dollar. Right? So this is just how it works. So people might be asking, well, how is this relevant? The reason it's relevant is because you can predict gold's price movement based on the dollar. So you can say, okay, we're at a level of demand, right? We're at a demand zone right here. We're at a low. So if we bounce off this low, I'm going to get into gold shorts because bouncing off this low will show me that the dollar is moving up. So you get into gold shorts right here. The dollar moves up, you make a fuck ton of money. So that's how these macro investors look at things. They have this and they have a few other assets, and they understand that everything is linked. The market is just one big machine. So when you move one gear has to move, right? Because every single thing is linked. Every single thing is just what's being bought and sold by consumers, by institutions, by banks, by hedge funds at a very large level. So this purely comes down to supply and demand. So when there's a larger supply, right, when there's a larger supply of US dollars, the demand for gold goes up. So it's just inverse, right? So when there's demand for gold, so if this moves up, supply of dollar moves down, right? The demand for dollars moves down. So high demand for gold, right? So if we get a lot of demand for gold right now, low demand for US dollar will move down. So what are you looking at right now? You're looking to see if we reject this level right here. If we reject this level right here and we bounce off this level right here, you can get into a nice buy position on gold, right? So obviously do your own research. This is not financial advice, and I'm not a financial advisor, and this is not a recommendation to buy or sell a specific security. But, or with that being said, you could potentially look at a bounce right here with the rejection of this level as your confluence and as a candle closure over this level as confluence. So that's gold. And that's a very, very helpful thing for everybody to know. Even if you don't trade gold, you have to know the inverse relationship between assets. Adam, Adam uses, so I'll tell you what Adam uses. Adam uses Webull. So Adam's usually using Webull, and he does trade futures on TradeOvate as well. Why do I like trading futures? I like trading futures because for me, I like to scalp trade. So for futures allows me to get in and get out of a trade extremely quickly. So we are actually having this scenario played out, which I was just talking about. So if we do close over here, I'm not going to be as bearish, but look at that. But I like to trade futures because pretty much with futures, it only takes me a few minutes to make a good amount of money. So with futures, I can trade a couple contracts and I can get in and get out of a trade in 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and then I'm done for the day. When I traded Forex, it often took a little bit longer for the move to play out. So I'd be kind of waiting for like 3 to 4 hours. I didn't like that. I don't like trading the entire day. I genuinely do not at all. I like trading a lot, but only for a few hours. So I like to trade and then go live my life. So futures allows me to kind of design my life and schedule my life in a way where I can trade, make my money, and then go on with my day. High liquidity markets. Yes, yes, exactly. There's also always liquidity in futures. So in futures, you're always going to have the ability to buy and sell an asset. When you're trading Forex or sometimes some of these cryptos, it's a little iffy, right? Like some of these cryptos on leverage, you're not always going to get the best price. And sometimes you'll actually get a horrible price. And some of these Forex brokers are just completely sketchy. Like some of these unregulated Forex brokers, I don't know how they're still allowed to operate, but they're just a complete shit show. And some of them work. I'm not saying they don't work, but I am saying that when you have to submit a support ticket to withdraw your money, it's a little iffy, right? A little iffy. It's good to start with. I mean, I wouldn't think of it like that. I would think of it more of like, what do you like to start with? What do you want to start with? Because you'll find success. You can find success in pretty much every asset class. Like if you're a beginner trying to trade like, commercial real estate, that could be a little different, but it just comes down to like, I mean, but it also could be fine because if you have a ton of money for whatever reason, if you just have millions of dollars laying around, you could get into commercial real estate, right? So you have to think of like how much money do you have? How much time do you have? Are you able to look at the markets all day? If you're able to look at the markets not all day, but just say if you have 2 to 3 hours in the morning where you can just sit there and look at the markets, then you could be really suited for trading futures. If you don't have as much time, you could be more of an options swing trader or an options day trader. If you have a lot of money but no time, you could definitely be a swing trader or an investor. So you have to just really understand how much money do you have, what kind of time frame do you have for when you can actually trade, and then use that to come into your final decision. Are there any brokers that don't have margin requirements for futures? No, they're all going to have margin requirements because to trade a futures contract, you need a set amount of money. So the closest you'll get to something not having margin requirements is a funded account. Just basically, in other words, if you want to start futures with not as much money, a funded account is the best way to go. Funded next. I haven't heard that. Strategy marks highs and lows from the previous sessions. So definitely watch the premium courses. I go over all of that in the premium courses. That'll be very, very helpful to you. Right, so watch this right here, guys, because this still could be a lower high situation. Because all we're looking at right now, we're saying, okay, we have this big, big sell-off, right? Are we going to come up, retrace? Because sometimes we will. Sometimes we'll literally come up and we'll go right through here. Or is this just a lower high? Are we just going to come above, grab this liquidity, and then close below this? So if it's a lower high, it would look like this. And we come down and we will test this level if it is a lower high. So I'd be looking for that. Best prop firm. I've been hearing good things about Top Step Trading. I hear good things about Top Step Trading. I've been talking to them a little bit. So that's like what I'd say is not the best because I don't really know any of these products in depth enough to be like this is the best. But from what I've seen from the information I currently have, Top Step does appear to be the leader in that regard. And I'll get some more information on that, don't worry. Can we go over a couple of the options plays? We can go over one options play because I don't have a ton of time. I have like 5 minutes left. I'm doing this for 15 minutes. Or I'm sorry, doing this for 30 minutes. But we can look at CVS. Somebody's asking me to look at CVS. The option strategy is like the simplest strategy, which I love, right? So it's purely based on gaps. So CVS, why is he in CVS? He's betting that CVS will gap up. So here's a gap, right? Gaps between where price closed to where price opens. So what you're betting, and YouTube, you're welcome. This is literally the entire strategy. So you're betting the price will gap up, right? So go to the top of the gap, hence gap up. Or if you're taking puts, you're betting the price will gap down, right? Now, let's say, I'm trying to find a different gap. Here's another one, right? So let's look at this gap. If price was around here, which it's not, so I know I'm saying ifs, but if price was over this gap, you would be betting for a gap fill, meaning price is not yet in the gap, but we're going to fill the gap. So when he's taking trades, and somebody's like, oh, we're just on a resistance or whatever, like, no, you're betting on a gap fill. So these are setups that have a very, very high risk to reward, meaning there is a bit of risk involved, but the reward is always incredibly high. So that's how Money Motive is able to grow accounts, right? So when he does the whole $1,000 to $1 million thing, or 10,000 to 500,000 thing, he's taking setups that he knows have a very, very high payout. So what that means is that if he's down a little bit, he'll cut the losses, right? He'll cut the losses. But when he's up a ton. So that's why if you're following his setups, you have to manage your risk because he can afford to lose a trade, right? So can you afford to lose a trade in the same regard? Maybe, maybe not. So maybe some setups you should not be entering. Maybe some setups you should be going very light. But you should make sure that you understand the strategy and understand it's a long-term profitability strategy. So it's not going to happen in like a week or in 2 weeks, but over a long period of time, if you follow the strategy, if you continue to be disciplined and obviously make your own choices, but the strategy should have you becoming profitable because you're targeting setups that are very high risk to reward. So your account should grow if you're doing everything right. So that's the thesis on CBS. We are literally just looking for price to fill or to gap up, to target the top of the gap. So gap up play. And he also looks at volume. So he's also looking at volume and saying, okay, there's a lot of volume coming in right here. So this is going to ideally gap up. So he's looking at volume, gap fills, gap up, gap downs. Because I talk to Money Motive pretty frequently, and we talk about his strategy, we talk about my strategy, and he was telling me how his strategy is just so completely simple, and he sees so many people try to overcomplicate things with options, but he's just like, no, I keep it simple. And he said a lot of the success is due to his risk management. RP, you just called a 70 pip move on gold. Let's look at gold. I hope you got in that, my man. Let's look at gold because I was doing a little bit of analysis. Oh yeah, that's beautiful. We did get a little bounce. Trying to see if you got in it. Yo, Brizzy, did you take that trade? Apologies if I'm pronouncing your name wrong. But yeah, it's all from a dollar index stuff, y'all. I mean, what did I say? I said if we reject this and we didn't get like a huge bounce, but we definitely got a little bounce, right? So you're literally just betting that gold, let me move this over here, betting that gold will reject, I'm sorry, the dollar will reject this high right here. And then you're betting that gold will bounce up. And you know that if price does reject this high, gold will bounce up. You know that for certain. So it's almost like kind of like a cause and effect scenario. So you look at both and then you analyze based on that. So you look at these and you say, okay, what would need to happen in order for me to get into gold? You say, okay, if we reject this on the 1 hour, I'm gonna get into gold longs here. And then you make some fucking money. But that's big game. You gotta understand the inverse relationship between assets. In crypto too, it's interesting. In crypto, you're looking at US dollar, US dollar tether dominance. So it's what percent of the market is made up of US dollar tether. And obviously, when there's cryptos going up, less of the market will be made up of US dollar tether, and more of the market will be made up of crypto. And then on the inverse, when crypto's going down, more people will have tether because people are selling the crypto. So that's game, I'm telling y'all. Important stuff here, important stuff. Right, so yeah, I mean this is just very interesting price action. Yes, you can trade it, but it's quite difficult to trade. I don't like fair value gap. No, it's not that I don't like fair value gap. I just don't use fair value gap. So it just when I started trading, when I started the strategy, the fair value gap thing wasn't really popular, right? And sometimes some of my zones end up being fair value gaps, but I don't really. I've never researched that. I've never used that concept in terms of like I'm now using it for value yet, but I have nothing against it at all. I see it work really good for people. So we're definitely getting some buyers coming in. So it'll be interesting to see because we could come up and test this level if we do close above this. If we close under this, I think we reject, and I think we do come down and test this level. But that's only if we reject this. If we continue moving up, I do think we could definitely test this level. Remember, I was saying this. I was literally saying this earlier. I said I'm bearish if we're below here, if I'm above here, I'm bullish. Right. So peace out, YouTube. I'm going to cut the YouTube video, the YouTube recording right here. I'm about to end the live stream.